Coming up this weekend, a clash of styles at 115 pounds. We have the Dragon Girl, but I think on ESPN she's graduated to Dragon Woman. Liang taking on La Malvada, Silvana Gomez Juarez. Matt, when you look at this fight, for Liang Na, it is long wrestling attempts across the cage or body lock trip takedowns. It's a lot of fun. She is very much submission over position, which is something I don't say very often, especially with much reverence. And she's taking on a very slick striker out of Argentina in Silvana Gomez Juarez. Now, Matt, when I do look at this fight, this is what the fans need to go home and kind of just sit there and simmer with. Like, if you're sitting there, like, hanging out at a hookah bar or you're going to Buffalo like Wild Wings... Doncic? And you're talking to your buddies, this is the thing that you're going to tell them. You're going to go, okay, so it's a low-level fight at strawweight, and neither one of these women have a win in the UFC, but their last wins were over a year ago. And what was the level of competition like, Craig? That's your question. I know it is, so I'm going to answer that one. Okay, so for Silvana Gomez Juarez, her last win was a second-round TKO win over 4-6 Joselyne Pereira.
Yikes.
Okay, so Liang Na was 19-4 at the time. Her last win was over debuting Mengnan Liu by first round armbar. Matt, little bit of a laugh there from Craig Allen. Not the greatest level of competition coming into the UFC. Now, I should say, Silvana Gomez Juarez had a fight against Ariane Lipski for the title over with KSW. And for Liang Na, I go down through and I look at some of the names. She had fights against Maria Agapova, Juliana Velasquez with Bellator, so the former champ over there, because Liz Carmouche is now the champ. And also a fight against Lilia Shakarova. Ugh, USADA came a knocking with Lilia.
Yeah.
And wins against Liana Jojua for Liang Na and Julia Beriskova, who actually fought Joanna Jędrzejczyk back in the day. So, some good wins for Liang Na. The big names that I brought up, those were losses. And for Silvana Gomez Juarez, a fight against Vanessa Mello, a dub, and a loss to, again, Ariane Lipski, the Queen of Violence, when she was the Queen of Violence over with KSW.
There was a short time.
But again, I can only say so much about this fight, because for Liang Na, UFC debut, looked amazing at the start against Ariane Carnelossi. Dropped her with the first right hand that she threw. They don't consider it a knockdown on UFC stats, but she dropped her.
Knockdown. And
then after that, had success with the grappling until at the end of the first round, she almost got knocked out. Then a corner had to pick her up off the mat and walk her to her stool. And then when she got back up, she ended up getting finished in the second round. Gomez Juarez loses her debut. And then she went out there and dropped Vanessa Demopoulos and then went into her guard game and got submitted. So, bad fight IQ there.
If you get stopped by Vanessa Demopoulos in the UFC, it's just not a great look. This is a weird fight, because this is like Moneyball, you know? Like, Moneyball is the theory that you can take somebody who makes no money at all, basically, and they're gonna play at like 95% of what somebody who would make millions of dollars would play. So you're basically going to get the exact same output from that player, but you end up spending much less money.
Who's the David Justice in all of this?
Old Man Justice was a monster back in the day. Yankees legend. Gomez Juarez, I guess, because they're like the exact same age. But for Gomez Juarez, that's the problem. That's something we talked about a lot as of late. It's, hey, you're getting a lot of prospects. They're 30. Maybe don't expect a lot. I know UFC pay structure is a very hot topic nowadays. But I do think people realize that when you do get fighters of Liang Na and Silvana Gomez Juarez's caliber, they don't give them the bag. Folks, they just don't. So they can fill cards with fights like these, and I'm not trying to undersell this fight by any means. I just don't want anybody to come into this, A, betting any money, because it's too low level. Don't do it. It's just not a good idea. And don't have the craziest of expectations, because it's going to be one way or the other. Liang Na is someone who, like you said, she tries to wrestle from very, very far outside. She's not someone who really likes to strike her way into the clinch, but what I will give her credit for is when she does throw punches, she does put quite a bit behind them. She is almost from that, like, Tony Gravely, you know, category. Now, Gravely looked great his last time out, last night, of course, and I don't think Liang Na has that type of power, but when she does decide to sit down on her shots, like you mentioned, she had a knockdown in her last fight. She can look good in spots, but the problem is, she does get exposed if she's on her feet for long periods of time, and against someone like Gomez Juarez, who has decent punching power. And the thing about saying that is, she does have decent punching power, but like you said, against who? If you're beating a bunch of people whose records are sort of in the negative or in the 1-on-1s, I do call into question some of your finishing ability. But I will say this, the fact that she does have a number of finished wins on the feet does speak to the fact that I do think she will have a decided edge in the stand-up during this fight. But I don't know, like, What do you think this fight's going to look like in the third round? Because I don't expect either fighter to have great cardio. I think whoever wins the first round really is probably going to be able to bank these next 2 rounds. Because I think the first round, it might be decisive. And then round 2 and 3, I don't really know if either fighter's going to be able to do much to separate themselves from their opponent.
I don't think we're going to get there. And I don't say that at women's strawweight, but I think fight to not go the distance or doesn't go the distance, I think that might be the way. But again, I wouldn't touch this fight because, again, Liang Na has 2 wins by disqualification. So how often do you see that? It's in our graphics. But again, one of them, it was in her 5-on-in. She gets hit in the back of the head. So listen, fighter wins. How often do we see punches in the back of the head? We saw them last weekend. Nothing happened. We saw fence grab. Nothing happened. And again,
we saw toes in the cage, though, and something did happen.
For Silvana Gomez Juarez, training out of Entram Gym, working out the striking with some of the best in the biz, like Johnny Munoz Jr., who got knocked out by Tony Gravely last weekend. No, it should be an interesting fight nonetheless. Again, but it is boxing from Gomez Juarez. From Liang Na, long range attacks in the striking, but no head movement or defense.
It's very much on a straight line.
And again, long time takedowns, but if she can't get them, I wouldn't be surprised if she almost just tries to play guard like Damian Maia in 2010. Like, I really wouldn't be surprised from that. So I look at the odds in this one. Gomez Juarez open -150 favorite, -164 right now. Liang Na open +130, +135. Matt, we have a look at the Topology votes. Surprise to us, they are to you. I'm going to say over-under. I guess if Gomez Juarez is favored, I'll say 60% over-under Gomez Juarez.
I'll say under, I guess.
You're going to say under. It is,
wow,
763 total votes. 73% Liang Na, 33% by decision, 61% by submission. For the 27% that have Juarez, 58% by decision, 24% by knockout. I'm going to level with the Fight Night Picks fans out here because they've been around, they're having fun, and you paid attention to a Silvana Gomez Juarez Liang Na prediction video. So thank you. I appreciate your time.
Who thought we'd be here?
Look at us. But when the Topology votes like that around not popular fighters are so skewed one way, which is the opposite of the odds, I find it fun. Man, I'm going to make my prediction right now. I had Liang Na. I have Liang Na. I'm taking Liang Na to win this fight because if Gomez Juarez drops her, yeah, I saw the poster that Liang Na was on at the end of the first round in her last fight. The second round where she's just getting hit a little bit, but holding her hands up, and the referee's like, no mas. I still like Liang Na for her takedown attempts. Gomez Juarez, out of her 2 fights in the UFC, her takedown defense was porous against Lupita Godinez, and against Vanessa Demopoulos, she showed no awareness on the ground in that one.
No, none whatsoever. But this is going to be a one-way traffic kind of fight, no matter who wins.
Yes.
Either Gomez Juarez is able to manage to keep this fight on the feet, she's able to box Liang Na's ears in, or Liang Na is able to get on the inside, get on top, rinse and repeat like you said, because Gomez Juarez does not have much by way of defensive grappling, be it with her takedown defense, or with her ability to get back up to the feet. It's a lot of close guard, try to stall, hopefully the ref saves me and get me back up to my feet. And honestly, the more I watch MMA, it does feel like refs are less likely to stand fighters up, and I gotta be honest, I do like that. I'm a big believer in you gotta fight out of that position. The offensive fighter got you there on purpose. Now it is your job to get back up to your feet if you don't want to be there. I'm not a huge fan of fighters who just choose to hold on and look for the ref to save them. But I also agree with you. I do think Liang Na has more longevity with her type of a game plan. I do think if she is able to get that early takedown in the first round, it will help her get success later on in this fight.
Liang Na, very poor top pressure. I do have to say that. She's a neon belly type. She's always going submission over position like I mentioned at the start. But both of us going with the Dragon Girl, Dragon Woman, whatever it might be, Liang Na to get the win this weekend. Let us know down below in the comments section if you have Argentina's La Malvada, Silvana Gomez Juarez, or if you're going with Liang Na. We have some big time fights left on this card, including a top billing 2020 former fight of the year between Weili and Joanna. Check up near the top. 2 title fights on top of that one that you're not going to want to miss. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.